All right, we're back. The Canucks Chatter podcast. I'm Rafal. That's Victor. He's back from his trip. So apologies, we didn't have an episode last week. We were supposed to have a temporary guest. I was sick. I still kind of am sick. I'm sick all the time nowadays for some reason. I don't know why. But regardless, we're back. Before we get into hockey, how was your trip in the Las Vegas?
Like every other Vegas trip, super fun. Lots of food, sun, and alcohol. Took in a magic show, which was really cool. Got to see the two real hockey teams play. Watched the Vegas Golden Knights play the New Jersey Devils. Great game. Got free Taco Bell there. They have a promotion where if the Knights score 2 goals in one period, everyone goes home with 2 free tacos from Taco Bell.
Wow.
And it was looking dicey for 2 periods, and then the third period, 2 power play goals, and the crowd erupted not because Vegas scored. We all got free Taco Bell.
Oh, that's nice. You will never see that here in Vancouver.
No. We don't have Taco Bell in the first place.
That's true, but I mean, just in general.
Yeah, it was great to see. Yeah, imagine like they score, and you with your ticket, you get a free pizza.
Yeah. So how would you compare Vegas's barn compared to
so much nicer.
Yeah.
It is very modern. The food options are plenty. It's not just hot dogs and chicken fingers. You can have gourmet burgers. There's so much, and the alcohol and drinks, any type of drink, they're everywhere. Right. There's a stand all over the place. They even have one where it's linked to Amazon, where you tap your card to go into this little area. You can't go in without tapping your card. So once you tap, you just grab what you want and tap yourself out, and it automatically charges your card.
Well, they're living in the future then when it comes to arenas.
And the course is very wide, lots of room. Never once did I feel I was cramped the whole time.
Like between seats?
Between seats on the concourse when you're walking around, you have room to get downstairs. To get upstairs, there's a couple escalators, but pretty much everyone's rolling through the same one. No, everyone had their own space.
Right.
And then it's easy. Like once you enter the building, it's a big concourse, and then everyone has to still go upstairs. So if you get to the upper level where I was, you take 2 escalators up. If you have one, you just take the one up.
Okay. Well, that's and how about the crowd? How would you gauge the crowd?
Very knowledgeable. They know, at least the people around me, they knew what was going on. They were calling the players by their nickname, telling them what to do. It was great. One thing I found funny was there's a person behind me, a row or two, and when the Knights were defending, they would go, "Let's go defense," like how you would say it in football. I'm like,
yeah,
I don't know if that's right, but it's not wrong.
Yeah, it's just that's true.
Yeah, it's just different. I'm like, yeah, it didn't bother me. I'm like, that's interesting. Never heard it that way, but that worked. And crowd, they knew what they were talking about. Jack Hughes, unfortunately, got season-ending injury at that game, and the crowd gave him a nice ovation when he came off. We knew it was serious, and he just clutched his arm and just refused any help, and he was doubled over.
Yeah, that's a huge blow to New Jersey. That's their best player, really. So that's bad. I don't think they're going to go far now without him, to be honest.
Probably not. Yeah. I was cheering for a good game. I was going, "Let's go sports."
That's cool.
The presentation is very geared toward non-hockey fans, but also but it was fun, good entertainment.
Right.
They played snakes and ladders in the intermission, and that was really interesting. And their pregame was awesome with the two Knights fighting each other.
Right. Yeah. That's cool.
If you ever go down to Vegas, highly recommend going to the game.
Yeah, no, that's something I definitely want to do. I think I've always thought since they came into the league and watching them, just through my television, it looks like a cool barn to go to, like in person and kind of experience. I think it's a little bit different than some other arenas.
It's not state of the art. It's basic, but also fancy, just because they have so many options for food and drink.
Mm-hmm.
which is great. And just I love the roominess of it. It wasn't so roomy that it looked like a mall. It was just big and comfortable.
Right.
And
That's good. Yeah.
my seats were good. I didn't feel like they were too high or anything like that. I was
Mm-hmm.
probably about 4 or 5 rows up on the upper deck by the Vegas blue line.
Okay.
I saw everything clearly.
Nice. Well, that's it. I'm glad you had fun. Over here in Vancouver, maybe not the most fun when it comes to the trade deadline in Vancouver, or the perception anyway.
No.
Yeah, Vancouver does nothing. No
Yeah.
trades around the deadline.
One trade the day before.
But yeah.
That was it.
Um,
Trading away Carson Soucy.
right. Yeah. Susie,
Got a
third
good
round pick,
return
right?
for him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah, that's okay. I mean,
yeah, I think getting a third round pick for Carson Soucy is great.
yeah. Yeah.
He wasn't having a good season, and he still had another year on his contract. Probably could have seen if they can get another draft pick out of it, but I'll take a third round pick for a third pair defenseman who isn't playing well.
Yeah. I think
Which
he for him, I think he can offer more than he's been playing this season, but I think that can be said about a lot of Vancouver players. It's just not that season.
Yeah.
To note though, the big players that didn't get moved is obviously Besser and I guess to a lesser extent Pius Suter. What are your thoughts there?
If Carson Soucy and old friend Andrei Kuzmenko and Anthony Beauvillier were traded for third and second round picks, were they really not able to get more for Brock Besser? Like that's
apparently not. Well, apparently not, according to
yeah. That for me, that's reeks of ownership meddling in again.
Yeah,
Wanting the playoff money instead of getting the team for the better. Yeah, you want to make Quinn Hughes happy, but what's another first round loss?
Yeah,
gonna do for this team?
Well, even then, it's I mean, luckily it's only between them and Calgary, but
St. Louis is not too far back anymore.
Yeah, but they played more games. Like they definitely can, but they would need both Vancouver and Calgary to lose more games, and I think one of them will. But now I'm I still felt pretty confident that Vancouver is going to make the playoffs. I don't know anymore. I think Calgary, they both have not the easiest schedules. They don't have neither of them. Neither team does.
Calgary's definitely got the harder schedule. I don't know I know Utah had an easy schedule. I don't know too much about St. Louis' schedule.
Yeah, there's still some tough teams that Vancouver has to play, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah, they still have bits and pieces still there. Kiefer Sherwood's playing well. Pete Suter, and you got Pettersson's playing really well right now. Patterson's also playing very well. Patterson's getting his game back. So.
Well, and then there's the Rick Tocchet after the last game saying that his top players got to play better. They were like really low ice time for a bunch of them with DeBrusk, Pettersson.
He's not wrong, but his system, got them a lot of points last year, like individually between Besser and Pettersson and Miller and Hughes, but it just stifles a lot of the offensive of creativity. Clayton Keller is a prime example. He went from before Tocchet got there, he looked like a rising star, and then Tocchet showed up for a couple of years, and he started getting the 50s and 60 points. And the 2 years that he's gone, Keller's back up to 70 and he's on pace for 90 this year. So, part of it has to be the system.
Maybe, but then you can look at it last year. What did Besser get? 40 goals? Yeah, who was their coach? Tocchet, right? Like I don't know if I buy that, because you could even say with Keller, like sure, that's a valid point, but it's another year in the league, and he's growing and getting better as a player. Maybe some of that plays into the system, right? The defensive non-creative system. But listen, if you want to be a team that is a contender, you can't. You have to play somewhat of a boring style. Like not all the time, but like you need to have a shutdown style.
Yeah.
High offense team flying back and forth. We know that you don't win cups, right? Like we've seen that with the Rangers.
Colorado.
Yeah, I mean they had a very good team, but I think that year they locked it down pretty defensively. I think
They had
since
Darcy. They had Darcy Kemper and then somebody else in net. They weren't known for their
yeah,
defensive game.
but I mean if you look at their goals against, they weren't they weren't winning 5-4,
No, they weren't doing the
games in the
'80s
playoffs.
style.
No, and
They
that's
weren't
what
winning like Edmonton was last year.
yeah, because like you look at Colorado this year. Now they're a little more high flying offense and not top tier defense, but they had a better team during that Stanley Cup
Yeah.
run. Although they had some great additions, I think, this year in the trade deadline, with Nelson and who was the other one? Brock Nelson they picked up and another center.
From Boston, Charlie Coyle.
Charlie Coyle. There we go. Yeah. So those are two
Nelson,
pretty big.
Who looks like he's been in the league for 29 years.
Yeah, it's gray hair. Well, some people get gray early, right? But with Vancouver, it's like going back to Besser, the not getting those, the relationship seems like there's a little bit of friction there because it's like looks like he's going to get traded, and then apparently offers wouldn't good enough, so he knows they were shopping him. Like I guess where does this put the negotiation? Like, is he kind of like, especially with everything going on this year, does he want to come back even? And does Vancouver want him back at, depending on the cap hit? Like it's yeah.
I think the next couple of years it's going to be easier to make mistakes that you can eat a contract like that with the cap going up, but you don't want to do that with many players and I would love to have Besser back, but also he doesn't. I agree with management that he deserves his money. Every player I think deserves whatever money they get, but his contract, the type of player
he's not a play driver.
No,
yeah,
that contract's not going to age well because he doesn't have great foot speed and he's not a shutdown defensive player. His game is about goal scoring, and $8 million at the end of that contract is going to be rough to hit.
Right. Yeah, I think he. I don't know, because scoring wingers are always valuable for sure, but I guess it depends on that. Really depends on that number, and like, I mean, last year he had 40 goals, but before that his high was 29. Like I see him more of like a 25 to 30 goal scorer.
Yeah, that's exactly what he is.
Yeah, and not a play driver. But can put the puck in the net. Like, I don't know if that's an $8 million guy.
I could see him getting 8, but I don't know if you can do 8 for 8 because.
Like I say, yeah, I can see him getting. I don't know if Vancouver, if that's. I don't know. It's tough. I mean, I guess with the cap going up.
Team that can offer him 8 right now.
Yeah.
8 years.
But I mean the AAV because he's what 28. Yeah, so he's. I don't know. It's also tough to gauge because of this year too. How it's just not really going well for many players other than the guys that we talk about every week, which is Hughes, Sherwood, Garland, Lankinen. Other than
not even Sherwood, not Garland anymore. He's been gone MIA for a lot now.
Yeah, that's true. But he had a long stretch where he was playing well. I mean, especially. Like you can always go online and see people are like, oh, since the trade, here's Pettersson stats, and since the trade, here's JT Miller, more than a point per game player.
Well, I'd like to see team wins, and I think Vancouver has that one.
Yeah.
Is it not the most important stat?
Yeah, no, and I mean that's just one way to look at it, but it's like I think that trade had to happen anyway, so I don't think that's it's not a point where you kind of look at one.
Management had done such a good job to clear cap space for pretty much the whole season with all those sending guys down, keep it down, and then calling them up the day up just to clear cap space.
Yeah,
and all that for nothing. Even the Susie trade cleared money, didn't get anything of value in a seller's market.
The D market, like it was good for this trade deadline. Like usually every year I find the D market is like very highly sought after, and this year was the opposite. It was like there's forwards that were, Beauvillier going for a second. Like there was a lot of movement there and of some big name players.
Yeah, how did Anthony Beauvillier go for a second rounder?
I don't know. I don't know. But
Like,
I think just because I just remember this now too. I think there was a mention that there's a last minute offer for Besser for a first. There was a first round pick from Carolina.
yeah,
Um,
but Carolina wanted another prospect in there too, and
hmm
Vancouver wasn't willing to give it. And I'm
Yeah,
I'm in agreement with that.
yeah.
Why
But
should
do
the
you,
selling team
if
give up another prospect?
are you going to look back and sort of if Besser walks in free agency, you can be like, ooh, wish could have got something for him.
But we already will.
Yeah,
Uh, like I don't think if it was just Besser for a first round pick, I'm okay with that. Even
yeah.
if it is a
That was
late
yeah,
first rounder, I'll take the first rounder. But Carolina asking for another prospect back, I don't know what. Why should Vancouver have to give it up the extra prospect?
yeah. Yeah, I guess there's
Because
the just people. The other teams aren't valuing Brock Besser that highly.
yeah,
You know.
yeah, if this comes back to Colorado as well, not Colorado, Carolina, I'd be okay with that. Like they got greedy asking for another prospect. I don't know what prospect they were asking. I don't know if they
Yeah.
were looking for Sawyer Minio or Shelovs, whomever.
hmm
Yeah, and they didn't because they got greedy and didn't end up getting the extra goal scorer, and they don't win the cup. That's on them.
I
Like,
try to look at like the other players that got traded, like Brock Nelson. What did he fetch in that trade?
oh,
They got
two first round.
right. Yeah.
I think it was one or two first rounders and a grade A prospect in Callum Ritchie. They, I
Yeah. Let's
this is
see.
an expensive trade for Colorado to make.
Yeah. One first round pick, Calum Ritchie and Oliver Shillington, and a third round pick.
Yeah,
And then like I guess I mean yeah, Brock Nelson is a more of a valuable player than Besser is. I look at someone else
yeah.
like Scott Lawton. He went for a first and a prospect to Toronto. Like
I think
and
that's exactly what I think. Besser and Lawton are very similar. Now,
yeah,
they're different types of player, but they're in that same range of where they are at as a player.
yeah.
I
Which
think
I was
they,
kind of surprised that I guess Vancouver couldn't get more from him, but maybe a team wasn't necessarily looking just for scoring because I guess the difference is Lawton's a center. He's
yeah,
kills penalties, things like that. Where Besser doesn't do those things, so maybe you're not
yeah,
a contending team isn't
yeah.
looking just for that. But
But what
yeah,
does every
surprising.
team look for in the playoffs at the end? Some extra goals and a defender.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I think that's probably why the defensive side for Besser, that's where teams are like, we're not willing to give up maybe a first round pick.
He's not a bad defensive player. That's what I think.
No,
He's
no,
plot. He's very
well,
he's reliable in his own end. He got the matchups last year playing with JT Miller, and they got the toughest opponents last season, and he more than held his own.
well, he's a team worst -22. The
Yeah,
next
he has not
closest
been.
player that's a minus is Drew O'Connor with -14. So he's almost double the next
And
closest
Drew
player.
O'Connor, most of that played on Pittsburgh.
Yeah, exactly. So that tells you a lot. And then, but other than that, it's
Well,
Noah Juulsen. So
well, that
that's a pretty big,
Miller
steep difference.
Besser did play with Miller for most of the
Yeah.
season, and Miller wasn't exactly lighting it up on the defensive end this year.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, although, yeah, on Vancouver, Miller was a -4 in 40 games. So yeah, you can't even put
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
That can't even use as an excuse.
No, I
Minus
can't.
22. So I think that plays a
Yeah,
huge factor. I think teams looked at
ever
Besser and
since
like,
that
this is,
Yeah.
you
Ever since
know,
that Tanner Janot blindside, he didn't he just hasn't been the same. He had gotten off to a good start, picked up that concussion, and
yeah.
just fit has not been the same type of player.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure just that this whole year as a collective, with the locker room and all that, it's played a toll on I'm sure him and his game. So, um, yeah. So I guess they stand pat. We'll see. I guess what happens with them in the off season. This is their team. That's what they're going with.
Yeah,
Uh, is there,
lots of
before we
cap room available.
lots of cap room. Before we talk about the upcoming games and all that for Vancouver, is there any trades that surprised you or that you found interesting?
Not too much. Like, like, people were paying the high end. There wasn't a big blockbuster. Like Colorado going for Brock Nelson might have been the biggest trade of this.
I think the Rantanen trade was probably the
Oh
biggest.
yeah,
That happened
yeah,
twice, and he's
yeah,
like a top since he came into the league. I
yeah.
mean, he's like top five
Forgot
in
about
points.
forgot
Yeah,
about Rantanen there. Yeah,
yeah,
which
that's a massive trade.
Carolina traded their rental.
Yeah, well, they got rid of Natchez. Um, got Rantanen, played what 13 games. Didn't
Yeah,
look like himself. He was not happy to go
yeah,
there. I don't know if
no,
I read this today about Rod Brindamore's comments that he said since day one when on I think it was like a podcast or a radio show that he went on, and he said that I guess they asked him about Rantanen, and he said that since day one he made it clear that he didn't want to stay here. He told me, and so I guess the front office for Carolina has taken some flack because if you knew he wasn't going to sign, then probably shouldn't have gave up that asset of Natchez, but. Dallas gets him
yeah,
8 years, 12 million.
yeah. That's a fair deal for him.
Yeah, especially there with the the tax, right? It's in
Yeah,
Canada, like a team would have to offer him like 14 million or something.
yeah,
Um, which apparently Toronto was very close on that, talking about a Canadian team.
yeah. Trading Marner for him.
Yeah, there was multiple things. At first there was I think it was Nick Kyprios, who's I guess close to that side of things. He was saying how Toronto offered 2 first-round picks, Cowan and Fraser Minton. So that's technically better than what Dallas offered. Although I guess Stankoven is, already established in the NHL where those are like,
Yeah,
good prospects, especially not Minton, Easton Cowan.
he,
But also apparently even with I mean, I'm sure if Marner was traded, that would have happened. But um, Carolina didn't want to make a trade with an Eastern team because in fear of facing Rantanen later in the playoffs, so they went to the West. But big deal. Rantanen goes. I was kind of interested, I thought there would maybe a slight chance, but Marchand going to the Panthers, that was like surprising. You kind of
yeah,
feel like he's may retire as a Bruin, and even though things aren't going well, and it was just a fire sale for Boston. Boy,
yeah.
they got rid of a lot of players.
Everything that they could trade, they got rid
Yeah,
of.
yeah.
Wonder if a certain team around here could have done the same thing.
Yeah, I guess, it's just different mindset. I guess Boston's like, you know what, we're probably not making the playoffs. And even if we did, we're not going anywhere. Let's
Yeah,
get a bunch of assets.
yeah.
Vancouver's like, let's make the playoffs.
Vancouver's ownership, but let's get the
Exactly.
playoff money.
Yeah. Not smart because,
Yeah,
fans are not going to be happy
man.
in the long term.
Yeah, I think management is going to take the brunt of the fans' wrath as they
For
should,
sure. Yeah.
but it's the, but I think this reeks of ownership meddling in again. Every time ownership gets involved, something just never pans out.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. I mean, like, it took forever for JT Miller to be traded. They had to go through a lot of stuff before they finally pulled the trigger on that. It was kind of like their hands were forced.
yeah, like ownership has when they meddle, it just this team just does. He tries to play GM and he's not very good at it.
Hmm. Yeah, it's hard because like as owners, their eyes aren't only on the team. That like at the end of the day, it's a business for them. So it's
Yeah,
about how much money they make. It's not about
yeah,
wins and losses. It's what's their revenue.
yeah,
Where a GM or a team, a non-owner or a coach, they're every day that they're just trying to win,
yeah,
right? And it's
yeah.
it's a different
No,
mindset, and it sucks because if you focus on building a team, even if you have to go through some down years and lose some revenue, you're hoping that you get even more revenue in the future when you have a good contending team.
well, considering the way this year is going, they've raised season ticket prices.
Yeah, a
Just
lot since
and
last year.
yeah, and everyone's angry about it. I've heard many people not renewing,
Yeah.
including someone on this podcast did not renew his season tickets.
Yeah. Well, it was a crazy jump. They had one good year last year. Like it was great, Obviously
Yeah,
they exceeded expectations, but then the prices skyrocketed. It's like, whoa,
yeah,
that is a
yeah.
lot.
Went up. We're like, okay, they made the playoffs. We'll take the raise, but then they're raising it next year after what they've shown this year. No, thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a business, and they're trying to get that money. I mean, that's why they're trying to push for those playoffs.
Yeah.
To
We're a
yeah, I don't
Canadian
know.
market. We're not stupid.
Yeah, yeah, we know about hockey.
Yeah.
um,
Canucks just want to win a fans just won a Stanley Cup, and ownership keeps getting in the way of that every single time.
yeah,
When
because
I was at the Vegas game, the guy sitting beside me kept pointing to the banner right across from me, and that was a very that was not cool of him. He was rubbing it in my face, as he should.
yeah. Well, I think every other fan base other than Vegas just hates Vegas for the fact that, so many teams have not won a cup for so long and have been around for so long, and they just come in a few years in, they go and make the finals and win the cup. It's oh man. But hey, look,
Yeah,
that's the thing is like look at their owner and their GM, like they're aggressive. They're very
yeah.
aggressive.
Oh, the receipt will be coming one of these days.
Yeah,
The
eventually
bottom
the
will
cupboard's
drop
gonna
out.
go. Yeah, it will. But while they have the chance, they're going hard.
Yeah,
So I,
like the
I would suck to kind of maybe be an asset there, but like as a watching it, it's like, hey, you got to respect the balls on them to
oh,
do those
they're
things.
running. The cupboard is bare. They don't have many
Yeah.
prospects or draft picks. So
Well, it's like they could be like, that's
with
fine, we won a cup. You know. I
yeah,
mean, look,
and they're
whatever
and they're
team, I'd
still
be
there
okay with it.
looking for one.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like
They're
okay,
they're they're a contender right now. They're a really
yeah.
good team.
Hey, but just like all credit card bills, eventually they're gonna have to pay that bill,
Yeah.
and
Well, the
it's
thing
gonna
is,
mean a few years of not being very good.
well, I think that's just how it is, right? Like I look at, like even Tampa, it's like they're still good, and that bottom's coming too for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Um,
Yeah,
but what kind of team do you want to be? Do you want to be one of those contenders, but then you're afraid of paying those high prices because you're like, you know what? That's too high of a price. I don't want to give up these first round picks with that and dry the cupboard and kind of
Car-
play it safe, and then you don't get there. You never get that cup, right? So you have
you mean
to be aggressive. That's just how the
like
cap and
Carolina?
yeah, well, maybe you got to be aggressive, but you got to be a little more. I don't know. I don't know how that trade went down, but you need to be a little more under. Talk to
Carolina
Rantanen
has
before the trade.
assets. But they won't give up. They won't give
Yeah,
up their prime assets. But
I think they got to
Colorado,
go for it. Yeah,
yeah,
but also I think they have
Colorado,
some major holes. Carolina.
yeah, yeah. Like Colorado, they went for it. They sold
Yeah,
everything for Coyle
yeah,
and Nelson. Now they're really deep at center.
yeah. Which they were. That was their struggle, and now that's a big.
Yeah,
That's a big difference.
yeah. Charlie
It's
Coyle's
huge.
probably one of the best third line centers. Brock
Yeah,
Nelson's a very solid, dependable center. He can play up and down.
yeah,
But again, and if they win the cup, that that receipt is going to be fun. They'll deal with it then.
yeah. Exactly.
Cheap,
So I think you should.
yeah. Or Carolina doesn't seem to be willing to pay
Well, they're very
pay
stingy
that
too.
price.
Like the owner's well known to not want to, give up, especially on contracts, right? Like
Yeah,
if the negotiations don't go well, there's a trade usually in the works
yeah.
with Carolina. So
It was great for them to go after Rantanen, but they gave up one guy that thought that they gave
mm,
him up for a superstar, and then they didn't want to build around extra holes, like asking for extra prospects from the Canucks. I,
mm.
with that thing, I think Carolina's GM did. He's he's one to make moves. Good. I I like
Yeah,
that aggressiveness.
no, yeah, it's exciting. There's some like we look at Vegas, Colorado. I think the was it the Atlantic made some big additions. Like Florida, they got obviously Marchand. They also got somebody else. I wish I remember.
Seth Jones.
Seth Jones, right. Yeah, that's two huge ads, right?
I think they lost that trade. They paid a
Yeah,
ransom.
especially because it's the contract. Like I don't. Obviously, Seth Jones isn't a $9 million defenseman, but he still could be a good defenseman, like on a good team, or he
It's
slotted
like
in well.
5 or 6 more years of that,
Yeah,
and they're giving up a first round pick and a legit future number one goalie in Spencer Knight. And that's a
who's playing
steep
really well.
price.
What? How
Yeah,
much retention was on there? Those
two and a half
retentions.
million dollars, I think.
Okay. Uh, yeah, I guess they're going for it. Tampa Bay, they picked up a couple players. Who do they? There's so many trades that it's all. Yeah.
Yanni
Oh,
Gord and
Bjorkstrand.
Olivier Bjorkstrand.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
deal. I don't know. I don't know what draft picks Tampa has to play with. I don't know
Yeah.
where they came.
Well, I think they
where those
looked at how
draft picks
good they
came
are.
from.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah,
right? You're like, they already gave up the farm for Jeannot that one year. They gave up like
yeah,
almost a full draft class for him. And he's not even playing for them anymore.
yeah,
But hey, you know what? You got to be aggressive, and they know that their
yeah.
window's closing. And Toronto made some moves too. Who did they pick up? Carlo and Lawton. Um, Ottawa made that trade with Norris
Yeah.
to
For Dylan Cousins.
Dylan Cousins. Yeah, just pretty crazy trades. It was a cool trade deadline. I love to see big moves. It's exciting. But then
Yeah,
it sucks that Canucks didn't make many moves.
yeah. I was hoping for another last second like Thomas Hurdle trade, but that didn't
Hmm.
happen.
Right. Yeah.
They were like, Thomas Hurdle was available.
Yeah.
Why didn't we know about this?
Yeah. There's nobody that big. I mean, there was like even Marchand. It's like it was shocking, but at the same time, you knew that the contract wasn't signed yet, so there's a possibility.
I'm glad
Uh,
Chicago sold Seth Jones because just to make Connor Bedard's life a little bit more hell that in 6 years he'll be out of there.
I was actually surprised that Boston sold so much. I did not see that coming.
Yeah, no, I don't
Like
think I didn't think
that
so
was a
either.
lot. Like
Yeah,
Marchand, Carlo, Coyle,
yeah,
Trent Frederick. Like those
yeah.
are big, big pieces. Like those are massive.
Unless they might still think they have a chance at the wild card because Casey Middlestats not a bad center. He might not be a
I don't
number
think
two,
Boston's making
but
it.
he's a number three. I don't know how
Boston's
far
not
back
making the
they are.
playoffs. They have played the most games in the Eastern Conference, and they're like, I don't know how many points, but they're like 11th place or 10th place. I think 11th. And like they just have to jump so many teams, and they don't have games in hand that it's just they're for me they're gone. I think they knew
Yeah,
that too. That's
yeah.
why they sold so hard.
Especially, yeah. I don't think Charlie McAvoy's back yet.
No, yeah, and Swayman, isn't playing like Swayman we
Yeah.
know has played in the
He
past.
misses
So
he misses his bestie.
yeah, Olmark,
Yeah,
yeah,
and Omar
who's
misses his bestie.
yeah, and Olmark is he what is his stats? Curious.
Not that great either, but I've
Yeah,
seen
he was injured for some time too, which
yeah.
is kind of the big
Omar
question
will be
mark.
playing really well at one point, and then he'll struggle for a little bit. I
He's
think
pretty
he's in that
good.
struggle. I think he's in that
Overall.
struggle phase right now.
He's
When he's really
913 save percentage, so it's not bad.
yeah. Yeah, I
32
think
games.
when he's been good, he's been lights out. When he's been bad, he's been bad.
Yeah. The Senators have been good though. I think that trade was really good for them.
That's a high price to pay. High price to pay. I think they
Yeah,
didn't.
but they had
I think
no
they could have.
goaltending. Like they
Oh,
needed
for that one, yeah. I thought
yeah.
you were talking about the Cousins for
Oh,
Norris. I
no.
think
Yeah.
that could have been a 1-for-1 deal. I didn't think there could have needed to be all the extras. Because Ottawa gave a
Yeah.
pretty decent haul for Cousins.
Yeah. What's it? Because Cousins is cap it's like 7.1, I think, something like that.
Yeah,
Norris is similar, right?
yeah. Vancouver, I know, was in on Josh Norris as well.
Yeah, they've been after him for a while.
Yeah, I wonder what the ask that was.
From Vancouver was, yeah. Yeah, I guess it depends because if you look at the others, like Besser is not getting that done. Definitely not.
No,
Um,
if they wanted one of the big prospects, I wouldn't have done that either. Because Lekaraki,
I don't think Ottawa would
Pedersen,
want that
or
though.
Wheelander. I don't
Ottawa
think they're
wanted Ottawa wanted an NHL player because they're in a playoff spot. They don't want picks right now. They've
someone
traded for
like
picks in the past.
Kia Suter.
Yeah, I don't think that's enough to get it done. They would need like
Suter, Besser. If they'd gone for Josh Norris, I'd be okay with that.
both of them.
Yep.
But I guess they're not under contract, so I think Ottawa would look at that and be like, "Hey, Norris is under contract. We don't want these rentals just for one guy."
You're trying to make the playoffs, and there's enough weapons on there that they could make a run.
East is tough, but they're I think they're a good team. So we'll see how they go.
Yeah, look at the Central Division.
Yeah, that's really good.
It could be Dallas, Colorado,
Dallas.
or Winnipeg, Dallas,
Yeah.
Winnipeg, Colorado.
They're also good. Dallas just beefed up too. Rantanen on that team already. Whew, that's a contender.
And then Heiskanen should be back for the playoffs.
Hmm. I don't know if you heard that about the Ekblad news.
Yeah, suspended 20 games.
20 games. Yeah, that's
he copped up to it, and he took something
for recovery on the injury. Yeah.
Yeah. I believe him on that.
Yeah, I mean, we have no idea. I'm surprised more players aren't caught or I don't know how that works.
I think they get tested at the beginning of the year. It is random, but they don't have to worry about the whole time.
So I wonder how he got caught then. It has to have been a random test.
Yeah.
So maybe they get tested randomly throughout the year. Interesting. I don't know. Because I'm sure there's more players doing it.
If Florida doesn't want to re-sign him because of that, I know a team in Vancouver with lots of cap space willing to sign him.
Yeah. Now it depends what he's gonna want. What does he want to
8?
Try to win another cup somewhere and be on a contender, or does he want the money? He has a cup, so
there'll be a lot worse teams that can offer him the money.
Yeah.
Vancouver will be able to build around him. A second pairing of Pettersson and Ekblad, that'd be great to see.
Oh yeah, Ekblad's a great defenseman, really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't see him coming to Vancouver.
That's a lot of money spent on Ford if he does come.
Yeah.
Ford defenseman making a lot of money.
I just don't see that happening, but we'll see what happens. We can dream, All right, let's look ahead to Vancouver here before what the schedule that's coming up here. The next game they have is against the Canadiens tomorrow, but kind of a big game is going to be the one against the Flames. Flames are 1 point ahead. They play the same number of games now. That's kind of a, winner gets that 8th spot for the moment. Yeah. It's a 4-point game. That'll be a big one.
Yeah, and it'll be off a back-to-back for Vancouver. Yeah. I don't know if Calgary plays tomorrow, but we're gonna finish up with Montreal and then head straight to Calgary.
Yeah, so that's gonna be a tough one. Calgary. No, the last time they played was Saturday.
Oh yeah.
So they got to rest.
They'll be sitting home fresh.
And it's gonna be a home game for them.
Catch a red eye. So I wonder if Kevin gets the start in the second game, and Sheloff gets the start tomorrow night
against Montreal. I would do that. I would definitely do that. What's the more important game? Obviously, the Calgary game, because that's a 4-point game right there. Yeah. So you definitely do that and get your best goaltender for there.
And of course, I'll be going to tomorrow's game. So.
Oh, nice. The Montreal game. Well, I mean, I think it's, 2 Canadian teams. I think the atmosphere will be good. I think there's a lot of Montreal fans here in Vancouver, so the atmosphere will be great.
I've been to a couple of Montreal games. They're annoying.
Yeah.
I went to one game. They were down 5-0 after the first period, and they were still trying to chant.
Yeah. Well, they play here once a year.
In the first period.
Hey, they pay a lot of money for the tickets, Hey, if you pay the money to get into the arena, I say you can do whatever you want when you're there. As long as you're, not doing anything crazy and disrespectful. And anything else you want to talk about before we in the episode?
Connor Bedard makes his way home again for his first time playing in his hometown. First game here, and before he comes home in 6 years. Here's right here. The number 98 jerseys will be flying off the shelves.
Saturday, right? Yeah. Because the last time he was injured,
he didn't play it. Yeah, he had broken his jaw last year and we had picked our tickets to go see him, and we were disappointed when he couldn't show up. This year we picked this package mainly because of Connor Bedard.
Right. Yeah, well, that's good. Maybe he'll be extra motivated for sure to play in that game.
Yeah.
He'll definitely see
him looking all sad when his team loses, and he's like, "Oh, I can't wait to come play for this team in 6 years." Hopefully, there'll be a picture of him in his Canuck pajamas.
I think that's going to be a big thing for Chicago, is to try to build somewhat of a competitive team, because boy, they gotta start for their
Yeah.
their outlook, they gotta win some games coming up.
I wonder if we're going to start seeing more of that nowadays,
Yeah,
where there's a free agent person who's a known fan of X so and so team, like counting the days till he's a free agent to come play for that team.
I think that, but I think it's not always just a childhood team, but like there's more of that happening nowadays than in the past. Like where
I know John Tavares definitely started that. Him and his
yeah,
Leaf
that was
PJs.
that was pretty shocking because it was like I can't remember a time, especially in the salary cap era, where someone just left their team for their childhood team. Like
I or just leave a team. Period. I thought he was just going to stay in New York.
I
He was
thought so
going
too.
to build the life there,
Yeah,
be the face of the franchise, and he left. I'm like, wow, did not see that coming.
I didn't see it coming. I thought it was going to be the same thing as Stamkos. Like they're going to listen and
Yeah.
see the pitches and then be like, you know what? Okay, I know what else is out there. I'm going to go back to what I'm at. But since then, there's been a lot. There's been a lot of like just I mean, most recently Ranton, right? It's like a cutthroat. Hey, I don't know if we can sign you. He's gone.
Well, hopefully, Bedard will say, I don't want to play here anymore in a few years, and I'm coming home.
I also want, selfishly, it's probably not what Crosby wants. I want Crosby to go to a contending team, like go to Colorado or something.
To see that as well.
Like go to Colorado, go play with Nate.
Yeah.
Try to get a cup or something because Pittsburgh ain't in it right now. I don't want to see that.
Yeah, he's not winning a cup in Pittsburgh in the next 2 years.
Oh, he's probably not even making the playoffs in the next 2 years. I want to see him. I want to see sit in the playoffs. Like we saw him in the Four Nations, and that guy can still play, and we know that. So let's see him in the playoffs.
Oh man, we'd love to see him in Colorado.
Yeah,
I know they're in the same conference as Vancouver, but to see him win a cup again, that would be great.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm reading his biography right now, and it's good guy. That's Sidney Crosby.
Yeah, oh for sure, the most professional, driver.
And any guy that Don Cherry doesn't like, I do like.
If Cherry can pronounce his name. All right. Before we end up, so I'm just looking at the last 6 games that Vancouver plays in the regular season. They face the Vegas Golden Knights twice, the Dallas Stars, and the Colorado Avalanche. 4 of the last 6 games are those teams.
There's a San Jose Sharks game in there too.
There is, yeah, and a Minnesota Wild game, but eesh. Like if it's a close race towards the end of the, I'm like, I don't know. It's gonna be a tough one.
They've played the tough teams well this year though, so that's a good thing.
Did they? I don't think they've beaten Vegas yet though this year, have they?
I can't remember if they. I think they did.
Did they?
I don't know. No, they. I think they've only played one. They've only played once. I think they beat them the first when they came into Vancouver.
No, they faced each other twice. Vegas won both times 3-1.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'll be going to that game. One of those games.
Okay. Well, hopefully it'll be a meaningful game by then.
Yeah.
Let's see, Colorado.
They beat Colorado. I know that. I was at that game.
Yeah, they each won 1 game apiece.
3-0 shutout.
In Dallas. And what's their season series with Dallas?
0-2. 0-2?
They've only faced each other once so far.
Oh.
And it's 4-1. Dallas won. So they haven't beat Dallas or Vegas.
Yeah. The day JT Miller got traded.
Right.
And he got his last injury that's carried on.
Fun times. All right. Well, I think that does it for us.
I do want to give a shout out to, since it is International Women's Day a couple days ago, I want to give a shout out to all the women out there and the ladies of the Canucks, in-game host Kat, reporter Olivia McDonald, and singer Elizabeth Irving. Shout out to you. Shout
out to them. Nicely done. That's it for us here. Follow us again on every episode. We have that on YouTube at the Canucks Chatter. We're also on X Twitter at the Canucks Chatter. Give us a follow, let us know your thoughts. on what you think. And any questions you have that you want us to discuss, throw it on there, and we'll definitely look at it and talk about it.
Don't forget to hit that notification bell. Go Canucks, go.
All right. Thanks for tuning in. See you guys next week.